If you are attractive, you are cooked. You're out in public, you are now a zoo animal, a source of validation and object. And if you dare to have a personality of any sort, you are God!
So it's really no secret that being attractive will grant you certain privileges. There is definitely something such as pretty privilege, the halo effect, all of these things. And, you know, yeah, sure, people will be nicer to you. People may like treat you or like spend money on you, and people may be quicker to help you when you're in times of need. But we often don't think about the repercussions of being attractive. We don't think about the downsides of being attractive. We don't think about some of the setbacks we may have in life from being attractive. And, you know, this video is really for all my like average looking, chopped individuals. I do want to say, like, there's of course nothing wrong with like going to the gym and you know, working on goals of like losing weight and gaining weight, stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with, you know, focusing on your appearance. But I think in this day and age, you know, in this day and age of like looks maxing and like doing all this beauty content and like steroids and just so many different things where people are going to so many extreme they're going to so many extreme methods to alter their bodies to pursue this very like superficial beauty standard. I feel like something like this needed to be said. You know, being attractive isn't everything, and being attractive sometimes has its own set of problems that we don't think about. You know, for those of us who are average and, you know, or chopped, we imagine that being attractive would just be this golden ticket to a better life, and that's often not the case. Everything that has like a good side has a bad side. You know, the grass is almost never completely green. If you step into someone's shoes, you'll truly be able to appreciate or be able to understand some of the things they go through. So this video is not to say that attractive people go through worse things than us average people do, but it is to say that there are a lot of overlooked cons to the life of someone who is conventionally attractive. So for all my chopped and average people, I'm telling you, this video is for you. So first disclaimer, I'm not making this video from the perspective of someone who thinks they're a 10 out of 10. Like, I'm not delusional. I would definitely, I would consider myself to be average looking, but for those of you watching, maybe I'm chopped city. You know, it's okay. It's not gonna hurt my feelings, but I do know for sure that I'm not someone who's like a 10 out of 10 person, and it is what it is, you know what I mean? But like I said, I really wanted to provide some perspective to people who are really struggling with their appearance. And like I said, I wanted to just take this opportunity to highlight things that we don't think of pertaining to attractive people, things that they go through that might be a little more than we could handle. All right, and second disclaimer, I promise this is gonna be the last one, but none of these things are exclusive to attractive people. I definitely understand that some of these things that I'm saying definitely can happen to all sorts of people. These are just things I think are more likely to happen to attractive people at like a higher rate. So once again, I completely understand everything I'm going to say can be applied to a lot of people. It's just I feel like it's going to apply more so to people who are considered to be conventionally attractive. So that's my last disclaimer.
Where a friend of yours takes you onto a boat, you're led to a room which has an older man in it, and then basically told to perform acts and, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So my first point is people are definitely going to be more likely to disrespect your boundaries. I unfortunately saw this a lot at most of the jobs I've worked. Any job where there are women my age or even sometimes women older, this is something I see a lot where like guys come in and it's literally their goal to almost like harass and stalk some of the female employees. This can definitely happen to guys as well. You know, there's always an exception to the rule, but this is something I've seen a lot. An experience I had was when I was at Best Buy. You know, there was a young woman who was close to my age, You know, she was minding her business, she was doing her thing, and this group of guys came in, they saw her, and they literally followed her around the store. It was so bad that the police were called, co-workers were jumping in. It was kind of scary because those guys were, you know, they were bigger guys, so it could have been a really dangerous situation. But that's not the only time I've seen things like that. Once again, people, when they see that you're conventionally attractive, that like self-control sometimes just flies out the window. And I'm not saying that, and I'm not trying to give them any grace, but that's just what happens. People often see you as like an obstacle, some type of like prize or some type of challenge, and people are going to disrespect your boundaries, unfortunately.
You want to sit on? You want to make this easier? You can sit on my lap. Michael? Hi.
Whether it's like inappropriate comments, constant advancements, people are really going to try you. And I don't know, this might be showing my age, but I also think of the guy like Alex from Target or whatever. Like when Vine was a thing, I think he went viral. Basically, if you guys don't know about Alex from Target, he was basically this kid he was doing his job at Target, and this group of girls, or it was a girl, it was somebody, they came in and they took pictures of him, they took a video of him, they posted it on whatever social media platform, and it blew up. All of a sudden, everyone knew this kid. Like I think he was on Ellen and everything. And thankfully, you know, I don't think anything happened to him. I could be wrong, but just think if something like that happened these days, where someone was like, "Oh, I find this person really attractive. Let me just like pull out my camera, start taking pictures, recording." It's like you don't know what people are doing with your face. You know, you don't know what people are doing with your likeness nowadays, especially when it's like AI involved and stuff like that. But yeah, I just feel like if Alex from Target was like a regular average looking person, that just would have never happened. Even now on TikTok, or maybe not now, but a few months ago, I feel like people were doing the thing where it's like, oh, like TikTok, do your thing, find this girl, find this guy, I think they're so attractive, y'all find them. And people online are crazy, bro. People will dox you in a minute. People will find your information in a minute. And this, once again, just goes back to the fact that people are really like willing to disrespect your boundaries if they find you conventionally attractive. Now this, I'm not saying any of this to scare people. I don't want anyone to ever like live in a state of fear. But once again, being attractive, this is something that you may have to deal with more than people who are averaged or chopped. And honestly, think of any of your favorite celebrities, bro. Like think of any of your favorite celebrities, the way paparazzi like break their neck trying to get a good picture, trying to get angles. Think of like crazy fans, crazy stalker fans. Like any of your favorite celebrities, you know, they have bodyguards. Us regular people, we don't got money for bodyguards. So this is just, if you're someone, your face card is a 10, your body's, you know, looking a certain type of way, you just got to be like more aware of these things. And you know, it's unfortunate. It's something that in an ideal world where I wish people could just learn to control themselves, but unfortunately we see cases all the time of people who are willing to get into somebody's personal space. They're willing to get into somebody's home. They're willing to do all these crazy things because they deem you to be attractive. So my second point, people will sometimes assume you haven't been through anything, and they will often try to humble you.
Other guys will hate you just because you are a better looking guy than they are. Other guys will hate on you just because you look better than them physically.
They will often try to humble you. So for any of you watching, anyone who might consider themselves to be like a 9 or a 10, maybe you've been at work or school or in different environments where someone has approached you and they kind of talk down to you all the time, or you might hear stuff like, oh, you're just kind of, you know, a pretty face, or you're just a pretty boy, you're a player. They're putting all these titles onto you that you didn't ask for. And it's like, you're probably very well educated. You probably know what you're talking about. You probably know what you're doing, but people will often assume that just like from how you look that you don't know much, and people will often try to like one up you or try to get in competition with you because they feel intimidated by your presence. And this is not something I'm speaking from experience once again, but it's something, you know, even I'll even say this is something I felt. I won't say I've really acted on it, but you know, sometimes you just, especially if maybe you like somebody and then this person comes along and, you know, they're just, everybody likes them and you see the person you like start gravitating towards them. And then it's kind of like, man, like I got to do something to like win this person over. You kind of, there's that like weird feeling of competition for no reason. And I just know this is something that, you know, conventionally attractive people probably go through all the time. And I'm sure it can be really frustrating to see people in real time kind of like put these things on you that you didn't ask for. You know, people aren't taking the time to really get to know you. They're just like assuming all these things about you. And, you know, whether it's like rude comments or just really unnecessary things, people will really try to humble you. And I gotta say, like, being attractive isn't going to prevent like somebody passing in your family. Being attractive isn't going to prevent health issues. It's not going to prevent financial issues. We're all going through some of the same things. It might be in a different way. It might look a different way, but in the grand scheme, we're all doing some of the same things. So if you find yourself kind of like assuming things about somebody who's that you deem to be attractive, or whether it's a celebrity, somebody you work with, like, it's more than likely more than meets the eye. If you're going through something, they're more than likely going through things as well. Okay, so for my next point, I wanted to say that the goalpost is always changing. The goalpost is always changing. So to get into this, like, I just remember growing up, and I grew up in the early 2000s, and I feel like back then a lot of people, or a lot of women specifically, honestly, were, you know, encouraged to be like more on the smaller side and more thin. And if you had any curves, like, you were considered like to be fat. Like, that was just like how it was growing up in the early 2000s. It never made sense to me, but just having any type of curves meant you were fat. And then fast forward, and then we kind of enter this whole like body positive era, this whole like, you know, now people are embracing curves and, you know, a little extra weight, like that's kind of what's trending, body positivity and all of that. You have people like, you know, Meghan Trainor and Lizzo, like they start to rise in fame, and even like Megan Thee Stallion. And now we're kind of entering this whole like skinny, like thin era again, and we're seeing actresses like Jenna Ortega and major entertainers like Ariana Grande get like scary thin, and we're just seeing this like another like switch. And you know, that goes back to the goalposts always changing. Now obviously beauty standards affect all of us, but I think when you're attractive, you kind of, maybe you get caught up in a certain area where like your type of body, your type of aesthetic is really the thing at the moment, and you start really feeling yourself. And then, you know, times change, and then it feels like, oh man, like, how do I keep up with these trends? What do I got? Like, I got to do all these dramatic things to show that I can keep up, that I can be just like everybody else. And basically you just get caught up in this like cycle of like doing whatever you need to do to maintain your attractiveness, I guess. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, this is something that I feel like affects women mostly, but I'm sure there's some like trends with men I'm not thinking of.
All over the world, and nobody's talking about it. About 6% of men globally are using anabolic steroids, and in recreational gym users, that number rises to 20%. 1 in 5. They're young men who just want to look better, feel stronger, and keep up with what they see on their screen.
Yeah, that's my main point. The goalpost is always changing, and I feel like if you're someone who's conventionally attractive in one era, you might have a really hard time keeping up, and that can just like drive you crazy. You know, for those of us who are average looking or, you know, or chopped, like we've never really been in the beauty standard to begin with. So that's not to say we're not affected by it, but it's just something that, you know, we kind of have to come to grips with, like, not being a part of it in the first place, I guess. But I don't know. I hope I'm making sense on this one, but yeah, the goalpost is just always changing. Okay, and my next one, people will treat you like a trophy. People will treat you like a trophy. This is something we hear in music all the time, where rappers are talking about only having these type of girls in their section, or being associated with pretty girls, or, you know, like bad bees and stuff like that. Or even women will talk about only being associated with like different types of guys and stuff like that. Like, no, like only pretty girls over here, or only, like, you know, like fine guys over here, or whatever it may be. People want to be seen with you, but they won't want to see you. And you can always pick up on this. It's the people who never ask anything about you. It's the people who, they tune you out anytime you start talking about something you're interested in. It's people who literally will not be there for you when you're going through something. Like, simply put, that's the best way to identify that. A lot of people like the idea of being associated with someone attractive because it makes them feel better about themselves. They feel like, this person wants to be with me, like, you know, so I'm gonna look a lot cooler to other people if I have this if I have this type of person associated with me. And it's a really weird thing, but that's just how a lot of people are. And, you know, there's also like fetishize. I cannot say that. There's also people who have fetishes. You know, people, they might see your skin or a particular, you know, I'll just say part of your body, and that's all they want from you. They don't want your soul. They don't want your mind. They don't want any of that stuff. They just want you to be an object for consumption.
No, I don't doubt that, but I'm saying I can't say that.
I say you can find out though.
I can find out?
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying I can't say that.
Let's go.
Cool.
Look, no hands, I don't care.
They want you to be a product that they can consume and discard when they're done. And that is something I feel like at a higher rate, conventionally attractive people will probably go through that. You know, that's not something I feel like I've gone through, but I can definitely say that, you know, based on what we see in movies and TV with celebrities, or like, you know, people like other YouTubers, you see that people just want to be associated. People want to be associated with certain people. We see it all the time. And I just want to say for you know, my average, you know, my chopped audience, you know, being picked doesn't mean you're being valued. Being picked doesn't mean you're valued. There's a lot of people, they'll flex about how many bodies they have, or they'll flex about how many people are blowing up their phone. But at the end of the day, they're probably messing with people who don't care about them on a regular basis. And there's no telling like how that affects your mental, right? And then you have all these people online who talk about having preferences and stuff like that. You know, oh, you know, I don't date Asian men. I don't date black girls. And these are some of the worst types of people. You just know that any partner they have will be the most unlucky partner on the planet, because they're so focused on being superficial and shallow. They'll never be able to see anything past what you look like, unfortunately. Think about it. People who go on and on and on about wanting physical qualities from somebody will almost never really truly see that person. So I just want to, once again, for my people who are average or chopped, being picked does not mean you're actually being valued. So that person who wasn't willing to give you the time of day because you looked a certain type of way, don't take it personal. Your people will come as long as you try, as long as you focus on being yourself and putting yourself in spaces where you can attract your people. Like you will find your people no matter who you are, but never shrink yourself to be somebody's trophy. Okay, for my last final point, people will be jealous of you and they will potentially plot against you. People will be jealous of you and they will potentially plot against you. I'm so serious. There's just something, jealousy and envy, it can be a really powerful emotion, and when people see that you're getting more attention, or maybe you get with the person that they wanted, people don't like that. And what's crazy is they will smile in your face, they'll act like everything is good, and then when the moment comes, when you're at your lowest, they will strike. And it can be in different ways. It's not always like a lethal thing where someone's taking you off the face of the planet or anything, but it can be like little things like making you depend on them, you know. Maybe that person will be like, oh yeah, you know, you lost your job, you can come stay with me, but then they make it an absolute nightmare because they are secretly, you know, jealous of you. Stuff like this happens all the time, more than we realize. You know, sometimes people will even like view you as a threat, you know, to maybe a job opportunity, once again, to someone that they're interested in seeing. Like, it's just no telling what people can do when they are, when they have so many negative emotions. And you will almost never know who your friends truly are, unfortunately. If you're someone who's conventionally attractive, you're going to have a lot of people in your face, of course, but it's like, is this person just wanting to be friends with me because I look a certain way? Is this girl or is this guy only wanting to date me because I look a certain type of way? It's like, you'll never know. And I can't imagine, like, I wouldn't be able to handle that. The way my mental is set up, I don't think I would be able to handle that, not knowing who's really there for me and who's not. Because one thing for sure, like I mentioned earlier, people want to be associated with you. If you're considered to be attractive, they might not really care about you, but they definitely want to be associated with you. So that is part of, I think that's also part of people, you know, being jealous, and people plotting against you. People just waiting for a chance to say that, you know, they helped you out. People waiting for a chance to, you know, put salt in the wound if you're really going through something. And I don't know, it's crazy how people are set up, it's crazy how people think, but I genuinely think people will almost always be jealous of you for no reason, pretty much. And yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much gonna do it. I don't really have much else to say. Once again, I really wanted to put out this video because I just think we're in this age of social media, we're constantly bombarded by, you know, beauty trends and looks maxing, and, you know, the goalpost always shifting as to what being conventionally attractive means. I just wanted to put this out for people who are really struggling with their appearance and how they look. I just want you guys to know that, yes, like, of course, like, work on yourself. If you know you need to get in the gym, lose a few pounds, or gain a little bit of weight, or, you know, maybe, you know, take care of your face a little bit more as far as like washing and hygiene and stuff like that, of course, do those things. But as far as like chasing an unobtainable standard, or just wishing that you could transform into this like 10 out of 10 like super like handsome or like beautiful person, there's a caveat with that. You know, there's always pros and cons to everything. The grass is not always greener, and that was the point of this video. It's not to say that attractive people have it worse than average or, you know, chopped people, but it's just to say that there are always pros and cons to everything. So I just want people to keep that in mind. You also really, you never know who's into you, you know. So a lot of time, I know for me, when I'm into somebody, I almost never tell them, and I know that sounds so crazy, but you never know who's paying attention to you. So you might be really in your head about your appearance, but that person, that dream person, could literally be like right around the corner. You never know, and that could be like a relationship or a friend group. You just never know. But yeah, I'm doing too much rambling, but that's all I really had to say. That's all I got on my mind. I'll see you guys another time.